Hello everyone, Louise here from Boost Your Career. Today I'm in conversation in Boost Talk with Mandeep Kaur, who is a very experienced talent acquisition leader. And we're talking about setting your sights on your dream job and then putting in the efforts that's required in order to get there. So we're looking at the connection between personal development and professional development and securing that dream job. And Mandeep has some fantastic tips that she is passing on, and one of them that I hadn't really thought about before, and I remember when I was working in organisations I ignored, is all about networking and company events. That's a great opportunity to meet people right across your organisation and start to think about some project work that will increase your workplace visibility. It's a great conversation. I hope you enjoy. Contact me to have a conversation following from watching. Enjoy Boost Talk. Good morning, everyone. Louise here, and welcome to another Boost Talk. Today I am in conversation with Mandeep Kaur, who is an experienced talent acquisition leader. And Mandeep's worked across all sorts of industries, from resources, engineering, IT, right through to call centre. And today we're in conversation about the relationship between personal growth, professional development, and your dream role. So welcome, Mandeep.
Hi, Louise. Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm down in Sydney, not in my beautiful, warm Brisbane. So I'm all rugged up today, and I thought to myself, people are really going to notice the difference when they see me wearing a scarf. That's not usual.
It's coming our way, but not as quickly.
Before we dive headfirst into making connections between the preparation that you need to do in order to secure your dream role, I'm hoping you'd share a bit of an overview of your career journey. I know you've held lots of senior positions across a huge range of industries. So are there any key factors that you think have shaped your career journey?
Lots. It's been a fantastic journey. It's been a roller coaster. So, having, whether it's your dream job or a job, especially when you want a dream job, the path isn't always straightforward. You may go in many different directions before you get there. So, I definitely have had a few, and I think for me, some of the key ones have been, having really good leaders and coaches around me to learn from, especially the ones that, not just the ones you reach out to, but the ones that actually want to invest their time into you and take the time to give you that help and guidance to help you grow and succeed. I think that's been really important.
That's nice. Is that what you've done in your career to make all those changes?
Absolutely. So it's not just leaders, it's also been sort of like coaches that I've reached out to, people that I think, you can't just reach out to anybody. You've got to reach out to people that you respect, you trust, and that that meets all sort of, I suppose, your core values and principles where you want to go. And if you share that sort of common ground, and also they have great leadership skills, they're the people you want to reach out to.
Yeah. No, I think that's fantastic. You've stayed in the one area of work. I mean, you've moved across different industries, but it's always been around talent acquisition, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Is that deliberate, or did you fall into that?
Absolutely fell into it. It was actually a friend who got me into it. So it was I absolutely fell into it. But he set up I won't go into too much detail, but he set up his business, and he actually reached out to me. We went to school together, we went to college together, and then I ended up working for him. And he said, if you come and help me set up my business, I will train you to be a recruitment consultant.
You can't say no.
No, you can't. So, and you know what? When I actually started that career journey, I loved it all. And don't get me wrong, you get your ups and downs. That's in any role you have. But as long as there's plenty of the ups, I actually never look back. I love what I do.
Fabulous. Because, I mean, I know this isn't our topic today, but the whole fact that just that relationship with one person is singularly responsible for your entire career journey. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Absolutely, he changed my life. So
Yeah.
I have a lot to thank him for, which I've done many a times. It was just, it was meant to be, but it was, I saw an opportunity and I thought, oh, this sounds really interesting. I'm actually going to give it a, go. And I was very young at the time, so, it was very easy to take that, to make that jump, I suppose, and jump into something that you have no knowledge about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Yeah. And he must have seen something in you, though, because he recognised that it was something that you could do well. So there is, you talked originally about leaders and coaches. I mean, without even knowing it, you found one right at the beginning of your career. Yeah. Cute.
absolutely, yeah.
I ask all my guests about their career journey because they're all so different. And some of them are entirely planned, others you fall in. All of them, though, have a connection to networking and relationships. And I just can't promote that enough particularly to young women. Just keep those networks going because you never know where it's going to lead. Cute. Thanks for sharing that.
No
So
problem.
our topic today, I know you balked when I first said the topic. It's huge. I get that. But in Boost Your Career, I talk a lot about your professional development and your personal growth aren't something you can put on the back burner. They're not a luxury. They're actually a necessity to building your career. So I'm wondering, it's more broad than just my dream job's going to fall in my lap. I actually need to prepare for that. So strategic thinking, professional development, self-awareness, all of that. I suppose my question is, how do you discuss that with your clients around talent acquisition? And what advice do you give them when they're wanting to move forward, wanting to go upwards with their career journey?
Yeah. This is and it is, like you said, it's a very big topic. It's very, very broad. So I think it really depends on, it is a great question. And it also depends on people's career trajectories. I think some may have more aggressive aspirations than others to get, to know their dream job from day dot and get there quickly. And others who want to do it in a more, I suppose, given themselves a longer time, a more measurable way of getting there. But once you have that pathway of what you want to pursue, I think some of the things that I would recommend, and whilst this is, sometimes there's lots of cliches in these conversations, but that personal development plan. So, you're in an organization, but it's actually, what are you doing with that? You've got this dream job that you want to get to, but you can't just get there. You have to develop a plan. You have to know what is your approach going to be. Leverage your leader. That's what the leaders are there. The leaders are there to help you succeed and grow, right? So always ensure your leader is clear on what your goals and aspirations are, because otherwise they won't be able to assist you in getting there. And they can help you set realistic goals and targets. They can also help you obtain additional, new or additional qualifications if that's what's required for your dream job. They can help you work on other, set you up and working on other projects, taking accountability for a wide array of things. There is so much you can do in your development plan if you are very serious about getting to your dream job. So I think whilst it's, people think of it, it's just my personal development plan, it's actually quite important because those are the things that help you set your targets and milestones throughout the whole year. So you know where you're going. That's really important. I think another really important one for me, and you touched on it, is networking. So, and networking, as we know, is an extremely broad term. But more importantly, and very importantly, it's how we leverage it. It's being smart because, we look at LinkedIn, we have hundreds or thousands of connections, it's impossible to leverage everyone. So how do we get smart about leveraging our networks, whether it's on a social media platform, whether it's internally in an organisation? So if someone is already working in an organisation, it's not difficult to map out which leaders you might want to connect with. So, and if you're not sure, HR's always there to help. You can always reach out and ask them. They will absolutely guide you and point you in the right direction or help set it up. You can also attend company events, and there is so much benefit in doing that because you get to know people outside of your specialty area that you wouldn't normally connect with in your day-to-day role. So how do you make yourself more visible in the organisation? And by connecting with great people outside your organisation, you're building new networks that you can leverage leverage from in the future.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of more really important ones. I think another one is the mentorship program.
Okay.
Mentorship programs. So some organisations already have mentorship programs in place. So you can sign up for those, or if not, you can seek on independently. And I think there are great initiative ones in place. And generally they tend to take place on a monthly basis. But if you have and mentors are usually, if selected well, great leaders, and they love sharing their experiences, their learnings. They love guiding you. They want to see you seed and grow. And you can, as a mentee, you can use them as a sounding board, whether it's a great problem you've got to solve, or you just might need some advice or guidance.
Yes.
So you can really leverage off this wealth of knowledge and experience. That's outside of your day-to-day, networks or leaders or things like that. And I think the final one for me is project work. So I find organisations are introducing projects company-wide more and more. And what that does is that gives people an opportunity to come together from different departments and work together collaboratively on projects, which I think is a great thing because it's, you're not working with your day-to-day team or anything like that. You're working with different personalities, different styles, different leaders or peers or colleagues. And from that, you don't just make, some great networks, but they also get to experience your behavioural capability and skills. And if demonstrated well, they automatically become great advocates for you.
Wow. Thank you. Because I've just taken a whole pile of notes as you were talking, because for someone who's in the people business, not necessarily the talent acquisition side of that, there was a lot of similarities with how I think, but there were also some very interesting other points. For example, your baseline there, the premise that underpins everything was ask others and seek help. Like, this is not a solo activity. There are people there to help. And the word you used was leverage, that be smart around all of this, look at what you're doing and how you're doing it, and then make the most of it, do what you can, to make something positive happen.
And we don't know how lucky we are to have all these free resources. Even I don't. I don't take take every opportunity I get, but we just don't realise what we have available to hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I particularly love when you're talking about leveraging a leader, because I don't hear that language very often. I love that, because that's exactly what you should be doing. You should leverage your leaders. They're the one up rung or the two up rung that you're looking for in an organisation. So why wouldn't you ask them some questions? I don't know. Of course you would. But also the networking one, when you talked about company events, that's not something I'd ever really thought about, that because I always think externally, but internally there are a lot of things that you can do, events that you can go to that spread your yourself, your visibility across the organisation. And that's when you said about project work, because you're right. It's a focus that we haven't seen in organisations for a long time, and it's a great opportunity. I love that.
And I think, look,
You?
and I think talking from experience,
Yeah.
I was never good at attending internal events. So
Yeah, well, yeah, they
you know,
just sort of become something that jots into your work time.
that's right. And it's taken me a long time to get there, but it was always a case of I'm too busy in my day job, haven't got time
Yeah,
to, and I really sort of
yeah.
pushed myself to get there. And when I talk about leveraging networks or creating great networks, is through my personal experience from attending internal events that I've met some great people and networks. So
No, it's great. I really love it. Part of the storytelling that you're sharing there and the insights that you have around, because you started with the professional development plan, that none of this should be left to chance, that you actually should be strategic around it. But the word that keeps rolling around my head is that you're asking people to be more visible inside their organisation, that just because you do a great job doesn't mean that people are going to notice that and reward that, that there's something in there about being visible in the workplace and using that to secure your dream role. So I suppose my question is, what's your experience with workplace visibility, and how do you see that helping women move into and secure their dream role?
yeah, it's a interesting one. I think this one has to start right at the top,
Right.
right at the top of an organisation. If to help women get into the roles they help them get into their dream jobs and things like that. It's actually that aspiration and everything related to that has to permeate right from the top through to ground level. If we are going to give women an opportunity to succeed and they have these dream jobs, but there's no appetite to hire more females into an organization, or to we're in heavy industry, so and I've predominantly worked most of my career in heavy industry, so I have seen this a lot.
Yep.
It has to come in from the top. I've worked for organizations where it hasn't, and that appetite, and the leadership teams are all 100% male. And okay, I'm going a while back now, and it's a slow transition in getting there, but it's really important. It starts at the top. What I actually, I think what I really enjoy about being in a leadership role within talent acquisition, we actually make a difference through our talent attraction strategies when hiring people into an organisation. So we really get to challenge and influence hiring decisions and change how business leaders think. So just a simple example, if we're hiring into, say, a non-traditional female role, so it could be technical role, they don't
Okay. Yeah.
leadership roles. Quite often hiring leaders will straight away think, right, in their mind it's a male. It's just by natural thought. It's nothing else. They think, oh, it's going to be a man. So we come in, and that's where we really look at their teams and look at how the makeup of their team. And that's where we come in and we can challenge them and say, look, you haven't really got any diversity in your team. How do you know you are getting the best outcome for what you have to deliver for your department? So it doesn't just have to be, women. It can be all sorts of, different diverse backgrounds and what have you. But we quite often challenge and say, right, you've actually got you've just got 100% male teams. So what are we going to do to change that? So we can actually change the mindsets right from the get-go at the beginning of the hiring process. So leaders start saying, yes, I need women in my team. Okay, I need to have a woman. And this is what we actually experience. This is what I experience in talent acquisition. And it's absolutely music to my ears, because quite often it's not leaders are susceptible to it. It's more the case that they just haven't thought about it until someone has a conversation with them. They're like, oh, I haven't thought about that. And, oh, yes, I've got an all-male team. And, oh, my God, we need some diversity in there, to really challenge the state of quo, how we do things. So it's really important, how we can influence as well. And I think, look, a great example that I love sharing, the previous company I worked for, which was heavy industry, we were hiring approximately 50% females year on year into leadership and non-traditional roles, which was a fantastic achievement. And because we had some great leaders in that, we had quite a lot of great leaders in that organisation that was so open to change and also promoted that. And I do want to finish with one example, which I thought was absolutely amazing for another company I worked. I was working with a hiring leader at executive leadership level, and who was male, and he was recruiting 2 director level positions, and again in heavy industry. Anyway, we originally interviewed 10 candidates, of which 9 were male and 1 was female.
Gosh.
Now, the hiring leader made it abundantly clear. He said, I want to hire at least 1 female into one of those roles. Why? Because I want to challenge the status quo regarding the existing diversity of the diversity of thought in my all-male team. So,
how wonderful.
So given it was heavy industry, it was extremely difficult to source female candidates at that level. We actually ended up offering 1 male and 2 females. Now, one of the females actually declined our role and accepted another offer, which was great for her, but she was a great candidate nonetheless. The second female candidate we offered, she came into the process very late as the 11th candidate. Now, she was amazing. So there was a reason why things happened the way they did.
Yeah.
She was amazing, had solid leadership experience. And at the end of the interview, the hiring leader said, his words to me were, Mandy, she is excellent. I'm not quite sure where we're going to put her, but we need to make it happen. So do it. And I went, okay. And we did, and we hired her, and she was absolutely amazing. So my point is, in some organisations, it's becoming a prerequisite to hire females into senior leadership roles, as well as non-traditional roles. And in doing so, my advice to women is, if you have your dream job and you're really looking at it strategically and how you're going to get there, doing your homework is key. So there are some great organisations out there. Network, so you can, there's lots of organisations, but network with other, people that can give you advice in organisations. But there is so much information available now on company websites that really talk to, diversity and inclusion and career progression, So that's another great thing. I mean, I've looked on websites myself as well to see this, so not just when I'm looking for a role myself, but when I work for other organisations, and I'm like, what can we be doing more of? So when I've looked, I'm like, wow, there's some powerful information on these company websites that are really encouraging females to apply, that are really sort of, it's like making females feel empowered, making women feel empowered. Come and apply. We will help you with your career progression. And, because, there is a shortage, a very clear shortage, and it's needed.
Wow. Thank you. They were really...
We have to create that diversity of thought right at the top if we are going to...
Wow. I'm stuck on a few things, as you can well imagine. Not just influence and leverage. So you talked about that in terms of your development plan and the approach that you take. There's something in there for women who are listening who are further along in their career and are in senior roles to start influencing and leveraging their executive teams to ensure that there is more of a balance. But there's also something in there that I've I've advocated for a long time, and that's when we're in an organisation and we're advertising roles, make sure that you ask particularly internal female candidates to go through the interview practice, because as we both know, women often step back rather than forward. And once they start going through the process and realising that perhaps I do have those skills, perhaps I don't have all of them, but hey, I'm moving up, so of course I don't. That too can add something to the richness of an organisation when you start to promote women that way. Have you experienced that as well?
Yeah, I think, again, that comes down to having great leaders in organisations as well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It all comes down to, and, when I talk about great leaders, they don't have to be perfect, but no one's perfect. You're never going to get that perfect product, but it's having great leaders that actually generally have great values, principles. They want to see, they've got what's best for business in mind, what the company vision is. How do we get that diversity of thought? How do we get how can we progress our organisation forward?
Yeah.
And when you have great leaders, they actually push you in the right way. They try and get the best out of you because they're investing in you, because they're willing to put their reputation on the line for you.
You're correct.
They become your advocate. The one thing I have seen over probably the last 5 years, a lot more, is women are actually a lot more bold. So sort of, I don't know, courageous and bold. Courageous, absolutely. I'd probably say 10 plus years ago, there was very much this sort of, these stats that used to go, around the globe. If a woman was applying for a role, they'd try to tick every requirement and say, "Oh,
correct.
I don't fit that. I haven't got enough skills." So they'd really stick to that 80-20 where men, if they got 60-40, oh yeah, I can do that. I'll worry about that later. And they would apply and get the job because there was also a lot of confidence in there.
Yes.
That when in how you present yourself, how you sell yourself. What I've seen in the last 5 years, I've seen a lot more females have taken the same approach because they've got that confidence and they're a lot more driven, and they have their career aspirations. They know where they want to go, but they also drive it. So they're not just sitting there waiting for things to happen. They've taken up all sorts of initiatives. Initiatives. They plant themselves in projects. They put themselves in front of leadership panels or on different panels. I've seen so many different things, and I'm like, wow. When I see that, I think it's actually quite phenomenal, because I'm talking literally in the last 5 years where I've seen a really big change in how the confidence of women has really lifted, and it's amazing to see, and it's actually really aspirational for other women as well. Because it's just as important for women to encourage other women to do the same. But when you see that, you're like, oh, actually, I could, I could do that.
That is so good to hear. That warms the cockles of my heart, I have to say. Working as I do with women all the time, I glean some of this, and it's certainly the conversations that I have with women. But to hear someone who is in and out of all sorts of different organisations and acquiring talent at a senior level, it's absolutely heartwarming to know that women are being more strategic, more thoughtful around their career progression, and they're making steps to be visible in the workplace and to ensure that they get that dream role. That's an absolute win. Yay! I'm very excited about that.
Me too. It's just wonderful to see. So I'm lucky in the role the roles I'm in, I get to see a lot of it. So and also from the talent acquisition teams, they're great in how they also encourage it. So when they're speaking to candidates, it's just really right from the get-go all the way through, you're seeing it more and more. There's still a lot of work to do, but we've come a long way.
Yeah, we have. Oh, thank you so much. Is there anything you wanted? Because I was going to ask you, I always ask at the end, are there any more tips and strategies? But my head's already full and we seem to have covered a lot. But is there anything that you feel you've left out that you'd like to add?
No, I think no. I think Louise, for individuals who really know what they want to do or know their dream job or don't know, there's so many resources out there to ask for help. But the ones that do know, it comes down to that individual's appetite for growth and personal growth and success. Where do they want to be in their career, and how soon do they want to get there? They can put all their plans in place, and they can develop, X, Y, and Z through a lot of the things we've talked about today. Plus, there's so much more. But I think what's really important to remember is that if you put these, great plans in place, the onus is actually on you, on the individual, to make it happen. So, women, or to all the women out there, you've got so much confidence. Know that. Your leaders or mentors will absolutely support and guide you through your journey. But just remember, you're in the driving seat, so make it happen.
Yeah, great advice. I think a lot of the time we sit back and expect things to happen rather than make them happen. Yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. Wise words indeed from our specialist talent acquisition leader, Mandeep Kaur. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for all those tips. Let's have you back in a few years and see if women are getting even better at this.
Oh, they will be. Thanks for having me, Louise. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mandeep. Hello, Louise Phelan here, and you've been listening to yet another Boost Talk, and I know you loved it. These women are being so generous with their time and their experience and their expertise, and it's great to have their perspective on their career enhancement strategies for women in this post-pandemic hybrid workplace that we find ourselves in. So for more information, head on over to our website, boostyourcareer.com.au, and I'll see you there.